Welcome to the Wealth Radar podcast, where we scan the landscape and navigate the noise of investing in personal wealth. I'm Jason Fowler, and I'm joined by my brother Paul. We're certified financial planners from Fowler's Group, and in this episode, we're joined by a man of rugby royalty who is now keeping our social venues very safe. A man about town. Welcome to the podcast, Troy Jaques.
Great. Thanks for having me, boys. This is all new to me.
It is, mate. It is.
I think I'll enjoy it.
Nah, it'll be good, mate. Welcome. Thanks for coming along. And look, Jason did allude to you keeping us safe on the streets at the moment, and we've known you for a period in your time in business here, and you've had a few twists and turns in regards to the business, which I think we'll get to, but I think it'll be remiss of us not to touch base on rugby royalty first, mate, if we put it that way. Don't want to embarrass you, but you are an Australian Wallaby. You played against the old foe, the Poms. Did you play against the Poms, the Kiwis?
No, I had 2 games, Kiwis and South Africa.
In South Africa. Mate, well, let's start at that journey. How did you get involved with rugby, or take us back to the start, mate? What happened there?
The start.
Yeah.
It's way back. So my dad was actually a rugby league coach. So he took us to Tamworth from Newcastle when I was about 5 years old. I started playing league around 5 and I was also swimming. So Dad he loved us doing both. The swimming sort of took over my league, and when I was about I got to about 15, I started winning state championships and going really well in my swimming. And I had an opportunity to end up to go to Sydney as a scholarship. And Dad, that's when I chose swimming over rugby league, and I headed down to Waverley College in Sydney.
What stroke? What would you?
Mate, I was a medley swimmer actually. So I had a
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. So I was winning state championships from Tamworth, where we only train in the afternoon, and down in Sydney they were training 7 days a week, up every morning up at 5. So it was a big culture shock when I went down. I got a scholarship. I ended up living with a family at North Bondi. He was the president of North Bondi Surf Club, Tony Hamilton. And I was down there for about a year, and I actually got homesick and I wanted to go home. And Dad said, "No, you're going too well at your swimming." At that stage, I'd got second in the Australian Championships for 400 medley. I was training with Terry Buck out at Heffron Park, but I didn't really like the swimming. I didn't tell Mum and Dad that yet, but I was at Waverley College, obviously, and the rugby was abundant, and I just seen these guys playing team sports every day, and I was swimming up and down a black line every morning. I didn't really like it, but at that young age, I was probably 15, 16, and I'd been down in Sydney for a year. I got homesick, wanted to go home, and Mum and Dad said, "No, we'll pack everything up." So they sold their house in Tamworth. Couldn't afford a place in Sydney. So pressure come on me, "Can you get us a house?" So I got this unit, a duplex on Bunnerong Road, and it was the biggest thing I could find. And Mum and Dad had a really nice house in Tamworth. Dad was the local Garbo up there. He did a bit of coaching as well. And then and Mum gave up a job and everything for me to pursue my swimming career. And they came down for a year. And at the end of that year, I come home one day from swimming. Dad goes, "Oh, mate, what's going on? You're not liking this, are you?" I said, "Oh, mate, I'm swimming for you, to be honest. I really want to play a team sport." So, and obviously I started in the thirds at Waverley.
So what grade would have that been? How old did you start playing rugby?
Year 10.
Okay.
End of year 10, I was, I didn't have a lot of weight on me. I was a swimmer's body, but I'd learned how to play league through Dad and tackle and run lines and all that sort of stuff. So I got into I started, I think, in the fourths. In year 10, I was about 16, and then sort of worked my way up, and within year 11, I was in the first. Yeah, right. So I played year 11 first, and then obviously the next year we had a principal come up from Canberra, Brother Wallace, from St Edmunds in Canberra, and he said, "Oh mate, you got a big chance to play for the Australian schoolboys." So I went through that process where we played CAS, GPS, and sort of stood out in that. I actually made the schoolboys from the CAS seconds. So, yeah, because we actually beat the first. We're a bit hungry in the first that day.
That often happens, eh? Reserves plays,
yeah, and I was still getting my head around rugby. But the fortunate thing that year, we had that was the year, every 4 years, they went on a tour, the Australian schoolboys, to England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, Holland. So it was a European tour.
Right.
So I was lucky at 18 to make the Australian schoolboys. We played New Zealand in Australia, and then we went on this big end-of-season tour, and it made me fall in love with rugby. And obviously,
rugby laid it on back then. I remember. I mean, we played through school, but even up here in North Queensland, North Queensland sides, our middle brother made a North Queensland side and
did a tour of New Zealand.
And rugby North Queensland, everything was laid on because we're leagueies, right? And it's like league, you're forking out for everything, but rugby, there was tracksuits and tours, and it was all laid on.
After-match functions were great too.
They do it well.
So I was really lucky to be involved in that, really grateful for that. And then, obviously, Mum and Dad made the right move, so it all sort of came together around that stage.
So from the schoolboys, and then you get picked up with a club then in Sydney. Is that what happens in the rugby circles, or you just go to, because it's not professional when you were playing, was it?
No. Well, 1996 I went professional, so all the guys from the private schools would go to East or Norths, or the clubs would bring these guys in. And in those days, you'd be playing Randwick, you'd be playing Campese and all
the Ella brothers.
All the boys played club rugby. They actually played club rugby. So the club rugby scene in those days was really strong, and it was good to be a part of. And like the guys winning World Cups and everything at that stage, they're coming back and playing against you, in your club rugby.
So what clubs did you play for?
I played with East.
Okay.
Yeah, so my heart probably lies at East Rugby. That's where I started my Colts. I had 1 year at Colts, best year of my life.
Yep.
The boys back to the clubhouse after every game, and it was an awesome time.
Yep. And then from there, you probably played first grade for East.
Played first grade for East, yep.
Was there Super Rugby around then? Did you go Super Rugby then Wallaby? How did your Wallaby teams get picked?
Yeah, 96, I was boxing with a mate of mine out at Glebe, and the Brumbies had just started. So the Brumbies was the rejects.
Yeah.
They were the rejects from New South Wales and Queensland. So again, a little bit of hunger. And they had halfway through their season, they'd had a few injuries, and Rod McQueen. I was training with them, doing the boxing. Like, you'd get in the ring and we'd go 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. So Rod McQueen said, mate, there's a bit of a space here, because one of the boys, I think it was Owen Finnegan, was injured. Do you want to come and have a trial with us, and we'll give you a run? So it was all new to them. And Rod McQueen was actually a businessman that bought a business stance into the Brumbies, and he did the SWOT analysis and all the stuff a normal business would do. And he got the boys together, and what a crew! Like, they had they had George Cregan, Joe Roth, Steve Lark, and all those boys. All those boys were from Canberra. And then we had the rejects from New South Wales and Queensland. We actually had some better players like David Knox and Owen Finnegan that probably would have made New South Wales, but they came to Canberra because they saw an opportunity there. So, 96 was the start of that.
So, well, if I'm correct, listening on the radio this morning on the Tortilla breakfast, that Robbo, who was the inaugural captain, they were saying,
Brett Robinson,
of that side, has just been appointed the head of World Rugby overnight. He's the first Southern Hemisphere person to take on the head role. He won the vote overnight.
Yeah, and he'll be perfect, mate. He was the best captain.
That's what Berkey was on there this morning. He said he played with him, but and he said he was unbelievable. And from that day, he always had that sort of leadership. So he was there. So you played under him.
Yeah, played under him. Yeah, he was the inaugural captain. Yeah.
Wow.
And how did you guys go in the Super 12? The leftovers.
We went pretty well.
You went pretty well.
No, it was good, and Rod
Good
just
coach.
brought the team together.
Yep.
He brought the team together, and the boys actually ran the team in the end, because we had some smart players then. We had all those like Owen Finnegan, David Giffen, Rod Kafer. Kafer was a big part of it as well, and they all come together. It's the best team environment I've been a part of, and it built over the years they weren't professional before 96.
Yep.
And to become professional, make it into a business style arrangement and just see the guys flourish was really good.
So what was the transition in your mind from effectively going up, you're playing club rugby, which was at a pretty solid level in Sydney, to that professional era? What was it just structures, or what was the big change?
Oh, there was a huge change because we actually brought the rugby league boys in, so John Mungleton and guys like that. They came in, and the Brumbies were ahead of their time with the rugby league guys because we started running angles and lines, and so the first year, all these South African teams that we played, and they didn't know what had hit them because the boys were running alphas, betas, all these different lines, and it just really played games with the defence. So then the next year they started copying. So the Brumbies were sort of a bit ahead of their time, and it was a big credit to Rod McQueen and the players within the Brumbies and that league mentality that came into it, in one in defence and one in running those angles, those lines, because Union was like pick up off the ruck, straight into it, try and get fast ball. But like with these angles that we played, the fast ball just came. And like there was holes in a lot of teams. And like even with the South African teams, they were big units, right? So we'd run them wide and had inside balls after 10 minutes and all that sort of stuff. And like what sort of goes back to me with Rod McQueen, like I was only, I was a sort of a knockabout. First grader in Sydney. I went well as a first grader in Sydney, but to step to that level, he got me up that level. But even as a young bloke coming in, like there's times in meetings you go, hey guys, we got to move. Can anyone got to move? And I remember I had this move and I put my hand up and I said, we'll give it a go. He goes, we'll give it a go this week. So we practiced it. It didn't work, but at the end of the day, that just made me feel like I was part of the team.
Yeah,
and,
he backed you.
He backed me. And he backed me a lot.
Because that was, thinking back, because I did watch a bit of Super Rugby back in those early days, because it was...
Well, it's before rugby took it off. You could watch it on free to air.
Yeah, correct. You watch it on free to air.
Ballsed it up and taken it off, haven't they?
Correct. I can't remember that. I'm sad I can't remember the last time I watched a live Wallaby game. But but I also remember, I'm thinking about that now. That's when that era is those inside centres and the outside centre used to be actually making bus back in the middle and scoring. Like it was instead of just the Ella boys and it'd be ping, ping, ping and Camp Easy, who's stepping wide. There was a lot of ball that shifted back inside.
Yeah, it completely changed the face of it. And I think the Brumbies were the industrious team that came up with it.
Yeah, and they were the dominating team of those early years of Super Rugby, as it turned out, from an Australian point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
So where did so from there to get picked for the Wallabies, mate? Talk us through that. Talk us through how did it happen? Is there a phone call, or did you hear it through the news or a radio?
It was. Well, to be honest, it was a lot of hard work. We after Rod left, we had Eddie Jones came in.
Oh yeah.
And I thought he might cut me at the start, but we went on a European tour, and it was we toured Europe. We played Bath, we played in Scotland, we played in Ireland, we played in England, and we were undefeated. But out of that tour, we had young guys like Jeremy Paul and Sterling Mortlock, and I think there was about seven guys out of that development team. And
so that was a Brumbies or a Wallabies development?
It was a Brumbies development. And Ewan McKenzie actually put it together. So Ewan was a big backer of mine. So he was just great. He just supported me all the way. He could see something in me. So I didn't actually make the Wallabies until I was about 27. So a lot of hard work, a lot of Eddie Jones. Like I probably had a problem catching balls and all that sort of stuff, but I was the bloke behind the goal post catching 100 balls every training session. Yeah. I was the bloke that Eddie Jones just drove me. Like I got 2 pages in his book, and he gives me a bit of a rap in the end, but he bags me a little bit too. Yeah. But I never let him beat me. I said I'm gonna win. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. So to me, it was hard work for me. Yeah. I wasn't a natural sportsman or athlete, but I got there in the end, and I was just so proud. My first game was in South Africa in Etihad Stadium in Melbourne, and I actually had to say to Eddie, mate, you got to back me now. I think that year I got about 4 Man of the Matches awards. We beat Crusaders in Canterbury. I got Man of the Match that night. I said, you got to back me now because if you don't back me, I said, I know the Wallaby guys are looking at me, but you got to back me. I pulled him into the office. Well, he pulled me in the office and I said, mate, you got to back me. And the next week he had an article in the paper saying, oh, he's the Todd Blackadder of Australian rugby. So I don't think he liked the athletes, Eddie, but at the end of the day, I made it through probably sheer hard work and dedication. But so my first game, I'll go back to that, in South Africa. I was out on the field and I dead set thought I was in a dream. I'm here with John Eales. Yeah. It was the most relaxed change room. It was when the Wallabies were at their peak, so it's the most relaxed change room I've ever been in. Yeah. And I'm running out of the field going, I dead set thought it was a dream. It was a dream. I got on the last probably 20 minutes and Andre Venter punched me straight in the mouth and I went, okay, well, we're here now. So, and then a couple of weeks later we played the All Blacks in front of 110,000 in Sydney at Olympic Stadium. So the stadium was twice as big because they're setting up the Olympics. So, and there was 110,000 there that night. I did the speech on the bus. I said, boys, we've all had ups and downs and this is why we're here because we've pushed through everything to get in. I thought it was a pretty good speech, but 5 minutes into the game, they were up 24-0. So I'm looking at the boys. I looked at Walks, good speech, eh? And anyway, the boys, it ended up being one of the greatest games of rugby ever. So all the kids that I've coached in Cairns and that, I didn't really elaborate that I'd played for the Wallabies. Every year they play the game before the All Blacks game because it was meant to be one of the greatest games the world had ever seen because it was 24-all, then we come back 24-0, then 24-all, and then it was one of the best games you ever see. Jonah Lomu scored in the corner to beat us right on the buzzer, basically. So, and you can just see me jumping up off the bench. So all these young kids would come up and go, mate, you play for the Wallabies. I said, had a couple of games, but it was, I was just so grateful, to be honest. And one memory just sticks out. I had Andrew Walker next to me doing that anthem. And,
I wanted to ask about that, the feeling
adrenaline there. And just looking around, Walks goes, how good's this, bruz? And he's got big white teeth. So that was a great memory. And that's sort of all you remember about those games because when you're on the field, it's that fast and hard and you're going, you don't remember the game. Yeah. Just remember the stuff.
Everything
around it.
I can imagine that playing that second game at home with that national anthem going off would have been, I'm sure singing a national anthem at any point wearing your colours is good, but doing it with the home crowd would have been...
I know, it was fantastic,
So who would have been the most influential person through your rugby? You touched on McQueen, possibly Eddie Jones as coaches. What about as players?
Oh, yeah, obviously, Ewan. You got your Griegs and they're just such competitors. You just learn off those sorts of guys every day. When they turn up to training, they're switched on, they're ready to go. When they're playing a game, they're switched on, ready to go. I've just been lucky to be a part of so many good players and good teammates. And I think the Brumbies really had that, look at these teams like the Broncos and that, they're just missing. I think we all come together at the right time and we had the leadership, we had everything, everything just flowed. If you stepped out of line, one of the senior guys would pull you up. It was just balanced. Rod McQueen brought all that in. And I don't think rugby had seen that before. He was a bit of a revolutionary in that regard. It was great to be a part of.
And then you went and played a bit in France, or was that before you made the Wallaby? When did you spend a bit of time over there?
Yeah, I actually played. I actually had a Dutch. My mum was Dutch. I was looking to get a Dutch passport for a long time, but I didn't end up needing it in the end. And when I'd made the Wallabies, I was 27, and I had an opportunity. I had a guy called Pierre Van Dom, who was actually a rugby league agent. He kept saying, mate, you're going to come to France. Anyway, you got these two, after I played my couple of tests, you had these two teams fighting over me. So the most you could sort of make in Australia was about 120 grand, and I think it was about 10 grand a test match or something like that. And I'm going, well, I'm 27, like there's guys around, I'd actually got picked on the European tour, so
Okay.
I probably would have played a few more tests. But I got offered $500,000 in those
shite,
days. It was 2000,
Yep.
1999, to go to France, and I'm going, oh God, if I get injured, you know what I mean, and I can sign a 3-year deal at 500. So at the end of the day, I do have a few regrets, but really, I made the right decision. So and I went to France.
And how long were you in France?
I had 3 years in France. I had 1 year with Brive, and then I had 2 years with Clermont-Ferrand. So Clermont-Ferrand was owned by Michelin Tyres, so they employed 30,000 people in Clermont-Ferrand, and and the rugby team was a big part of their offer to their employees. And, it was a great situation.
I'm always interested in this when you go to places like France or even Japan. You played in Japan, did you, as well? Or just France?
After France.
So when you go there with the language barrier, so you're playing with a bunch of Frenchmen or a bunch of Japanese, do they know much English? Or because obviously they're talking French.
The French was
or did
funny.
you know
I
much
remember
French?
turning up at Brive and they had the red carpet. I had my partner at the time and our little daughter Cleo.
Yeah.
And walked out on this carpet, couldn't speak a word of French, and it was in the middle of Brive's a smaller town than Clermont-Ferrand, but the language barrier for the first year was hard. I remember one time I was in the change room and we had a Canal Plus game, which was a televised game.
Yep.
And the guys had, the coaches up me going, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I'm going, oui. And then I got back after the game. They go, hey, you meant to say no. And I still
didn't even know what he asked.
I don't know what he asked. Mate, it was hilarious. They're just the culture. They're very patriotic.
Yeah.
You speak French in here. So, mate, I can tell you some fantastic stories. But you'd have to go around every train session, shake hands with everyone, and in the end, that you're getting a kiss on each cheek. So that means they respect you. So Clermont-Ferrand probably had 17 French or ex-French internationals.
Wow.
Olivier Magna and Bruze, and mate, it was a good team to go into. But saying that, they weren't really a team, a team of individuals.
Yep.
So, you see these teams in the league, they got all the stars and everything. If you don't create a team like the Brumbies with, your senior players and your coaching and everything runs, they can really get away with it. And, we had a couple of coaches. There'd be a couple of times where I had a guy, Tony Marsh, who ended up playing for New Zealand, for France. He'd been there for 7 years, but like the guys, the French boys would go, oh, we got a meeting. We'd all go in there, let's get rid of the coach. And they'd be all putting their hands up. And Tony Marsh saying, we're not voting on this. Have you had a look at yourselves? Have you guys actually looked in the mirror and had a look at yourselves? Because in France, you got your first division, second division, and second division get good money, right? So if you're having a dud year, half of them are signed with another team, so it's not going to get any better. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They all do the run for the hills. So, the French rugby was a real experience. A lot of fights, the braga, call it. So plenty of fights, plenty of headbutts, plenty of nut grabs, all that sort of stuff. But it was fun to be had by all.
Did you go from there to Japan, or did you come?
Yeah, I went there from there to Japan. I had another 2-year offer at Clermont-Ferrand. I went really well there. Yep. I probably played better rugby over there than I did in Australia, because I think in Australia, like with Eddie Jones, I was always trying to impress the coach. Over there, I was just playing me.
Footy.
Yeah, and it was like a breath of fresh air, and I probably played my best rugby in France.
When you went to Japan, so Japan now it's the big money, isn't it?
Yeah.
People go there now. Was it like that then when you went, or was it getting that way?
It was getting that way.
Yeah, rightio. So would you been paid more in Japan than when you were in
No,
France?
I took a pay cut to go to Japan, because at the end of the day I was probably 32, 33 then, and like the French rugby, you get bashed.
Yep.
So, and I went, I kept flying, and like it was a long way to bring the family home from Europe, and thought I'll go in Japan. You only play for sort of like like 6-month period, and then plus like every club has 4 or 5 Gaijin players, which ex-All Blacks or Wallabies or just good players around the world. So and you can only have 2 guys on the field, so you actually play half games. Yeah. So over there, the Japanese rugby is a bit different. So you've got companies, so Toshiba, Sanyo. I was with Ricoh, the Ricoh copiers, massive global companies. They get these rugby teams together. So you got about 4 or 5 Gaijin players who just go to the gym. It's the best life. It's the best lifestyle. Go to the gym every day and just help the Japanese. And the Japanese boys all go to work and then come home, go to training, and like they finish training at 10 o'clock at night. It's crazy. And they're all salary men for the business. So they'll be with that company for life. They get cheap loans and everything. So it's a real company. Biggest companies in the world. We've got rugby teams in France, and it all runs through there. So it was interesting.
And then that was it. France was it for you for the
Japan.
rugby or Japan? Sorry,
Japan.
And then back to Australia.
Yeah, 35. I actually married a girl from Mission Beach, so that's what brought me to Cairns. I probably would have gone back to Sydney if I hadn't have done that. So all the kids, we kept flying in from Japan. Like we'd do the overnight flight from Tokyo
into Cairns.
Arrive here in the morning, and I just loved Cairns. I just loved the feeling of Cairns. I just thought it was a great place to live, great place to bring the kids up. And I'd got over my Sydney fix. Like a year out of Sydney, you don't want to go back.
I spent 2 days there this week, and I went, I'm done.
There you go. So saying that, I miss the beaches down there. I miss that going for a body surf. But that's about it.
But essentially, you're professional rugby for what, over 10 years, 35. You stopped when you're 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Then you're back in Australia, and then rugby stops, and you've got to start work. How's that transition, mate?
You know what? It was a hard transition, and I look at some of these players today. I look at the guys like Jonathan Thurston and the guys that are making the big money. Yeah, that's pretty good for them. But then you got your guys, your blokes that hold the team up, go out there and work their ass off every game, train. They're sort of put on a pedestal until they're about 30, and then they're gone. So it's hard. It's hard because when you're in a team environment, you're told when to eat, when to get, basically what to do. So you get out of that environment at 35. I came back to Cairns and I was a bit lost for about a year. I remember my wife at the time, we're now divorced, she said, why don't you go and do plumbing? So I remember going out to White Rock with a packed lunch with old Bill Huddy from Ivanhoe's, and he gave me a start, and mate, I was the worst plumber in the world. So I remember one day I was down the bottom out at White Rock putting some downpipes in, and this bricklayer, he's rough bricklayer, he's going, oh mate, I used to hate rugby. I used to hate it, but I went to this game in 2000 at the Olympic Stadium, and I just go to every game now, and I'm sitting down there putting downpipes, and I'm going, I played in that game. So when we had smoke, I said, oh mate, that game you're talking about, I played in that. He goes, oh, unreal. Like he goes, I'm a rugby convert. But saying that, I found the transition hard because, it's your comfort blanket's your team and your environment, and I had that for a long time. So fortunately, my brother and I had started a business years before. My brother was getting into a bit of mischief. He was actually a bra boy, Maroubra boy. He was, and I said, I got back and I had money. This was, let's go back to 1986. Okay, and I'd had 1996. 1996, and I'd had a bit of money because I'd gone to England for a season as well, and the pound was like 3 to 1 over there. So I came back and we bought 2 small little. He said, "Let's start." There's a guy making money cleaning pubs. I said, "I know all the publicans, they're all rugby boys. So let's start a cleaning business. We'll get you into something." And that business went really well. So then I went off and played footy. I was 3 years into that. I think we turned over about 3 or 4 million. I said, mate, I'm over this cleaning, because I was coming back from Canberra, cleaning pubs. And,
you're actually on the tools.
Yeah. So the start of that business was me, my mum and dad, my brother and his girlfriend, who's now his wife.
Yep.
And we just started cleaning schools, and so it was a good story. I remember we were out at Balmain. They had the airport noise works. So they were putting double glazing in all the schools, and a mate of mine gave me a little bit of a go, and we turned up and we had Dad out there, and he mopped this floor of the hall about 10 times with cold water. And the foreman come in, he said, "Oh, mate, try some warm water." So he's done the warm water and it come up beautifully. So, we learnt from our mistakes. So, no, it's a good story. Anyway, after the footy, I came back to Cairns, did the plumbing, didn't like it, packed lunch and all that. So, and I wasn't great, wasn't interested. So the opportunity came to get back in with my brother's business, or our business. Sort of haven't looked back from there. But, that being in business has taught me so much more. When you're a sportsman, you're told when to eat, you're told when to do this, you're told when to do that. So you're really cocooned and you don't really develop. But through business, I think I've developed a lot and learnt a lot.
Yep. So that business that you started, that cleaning business, which was TJS, So when you went off and played footy, your brother and your parents, they just kept going and going and built it from there?
Yeah, he just kept going, So we actually grew. Obviously the sports connection's huge, but Todd he sort of gave my part of the business away, which was all good. Like I was playing footy and I understood, like I came back to a business that turned over 100 million a year. Wow. So how he did that was interesting. He had Mark Hone in Brisbane.
Rugby league.
So in rugby league, and Honey was a mate of Todd's, and Todd said, "Oh, look, I've got this business. Do you want to give it a go?" And like Honey was one of those guys that had businesses all through his Broncos day. He was one of the only guys that worked, and he had some successful businesses with photocopying and all that sort of stuff. So he was a really good, and he used sales. So Todd got onto Honey and said, I'll take 50%. You do 50% of Queensland. That's your area. And then we had Mark Hughes in Newcastle. So Mark Hughes then came on board, and he was one of our best guys. Like he was unbelievable. So he was really passionate about what he was doing. Before that, he was selling booze for some brewery, Blue Tongue Brewery.
So these blokes bought into the business. So Todd had the business. Sorry, just let me recap. So Todd had the business in New South Wales, obviously, or in Sydney. And then was mates with Honey, who was in Queensland. So they created a Queensland business, which Honey and Todd were 50-50 in. Sydney was still just Todd. And then when Hughesy came in, did he buy into the business as well? Is that how
they
that
didn't
worked?
buy in. It was sort of
created.
There was nothing there. So all the systems and everything we created in New South Wales. Created in Queensland, created in Newcastle. Then we had Robbie Kearns, Denny Williams in Melbourne. And then we had another guy in Adelaide who was an AFL guy. And then we had Jared Schofield over in WA. So they were AFL boys. So we sort of, obviously the league wasn't too big over there, so we chose well with the AFL guys. And, at the end of the day, they sort of got us through the door. Cause it was
I was going to say it's the connections, the place you can open.
And it was more hospitality then. And then we started winning stadiums, like we did Etihad Stadium. Then we brought the ex-Spotless guys in. So they came into the fold. So real family business, like everyone got on. It was like probably, you'd go into the office, everyone's happy, everyone got on because it wasn't run by accountants. It was actually like these guys were family. And I think, in my businesses now, this is what I try to envisage. I try to envisage no one's a number. So the bigger you get, the more accountants come in and start cutting everything out of it and can't do this, you can't do that. There's a fine line there where you've got to keep it. You've got to make sure people in that business are like, that you care.
So you did the similar thing here in North Queensland or in Cairns, basically, that you opened up the Cairns.
Yeah, well, what happened in 2017? I opened up the Cairns branch for TJS, and then in 2017 we got all these, and we'd become a corporate business. And I think
Rolled everything back into one.
Yeah, rolled everything. Todd put everything back in. I think in the end he was turnover 150 million.
Wow.
From that day starting at the school, and I was so proud of him.
Using cold water.
Yeah, using cold water. So it was a great story. You should write a book, Toddy. But so proud of him. And then 2017, we sort of we went to KPMG. They become our accountants, and we said, look, in 3 to 5 years, we probably want to look to sell. I had my piece in North Queensland, and what happened was that within 12 months they had a private equity sale.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone came together. There was guys that didn't want to sell, and we had obviously a big process getting everyone together. And in the end, I think all up, I think they sold it for about 50 million to private equity. They then become Facilities First. So they changed the name from TJS to Facilities First. And by that stage, what Todd was quite smart in the regards, and with the Spotless guys, they bought a government entity in New South Wales that did all the maintenance and cleaning for the schools. So in New South Wales, they contracted the schools out. So there was big sectors of schools. And then every school holiday, they'd do maintenance and everything.
Like a program.
Yeah. So, and obviously we improved the percentages on that. And I think that's when private equity came and said, these guys, they're sort of a mini Spotless, and we like the look of them. They're going really well. We had a really good CEO, Ben Bayo, who had connections with KPMG. And it just all rolled into one really quickly. So Facilities First now just sold to Serco. For a lot more than what we sold. So it's that was the process. So it was just great to see where it come from, where it went to, and where it is now.
And so when that sale happened, what did that mean for what was the I mean, obviously money changes hand, but what was the transition? Was there caveats? Was there earn-out periods? Was there all of that sort of stuff?
There was. So obviously they held us 3 years. We had caveats that we couldn't obviously go into cleaning or maintenance or anything like that. So we had a little bit of security. I was just doing like footy games and the NRL games that came up to Cairns. So and then I had an opportunity to quote for the Cairns Convention Centre as all this was going on, because obviously, it starts here with KPMG, it goes a year, you got to go back, forwards. It's a big process, it's a stressful process. And then it's all getting all the boys on board as well. Yep. So in the end, everyone got a piece of that money, and it was good. But I had the 3 year period, and I was going, I'm sort of going to semi-retire and sort of I'm sort of done basically, because it's a stressful sort of business. And then I had an opportunity to do quote for the convention centre for the cleaning and for the security, because I couldn't do cleaning, and I won that. And then I was going, hey guys, can I still do security? And they said, no, we're not interested in security. So I started heightened.
Rightio. So when was that? What year was that? 2018?
I rolled straight in basically. 2018, end of 2017, into 2018 I started.
And you'd been literally doing bugger all security at all? It was just...
Bugger all, yeah.
Fell into it and did it. So what? How does that business going now? What's the growth from 2017 to where you are now? So that's all you're doing now, security?
Yeah, well, my 3 year period was up, so I went straight back into the cleaning. Yep. So I've won a lot of clients back through the cleaning as well. So we're probably nearly at the same level in cleaning as what I sold at with TJS.
Right.
But this time, we don't use contractors, we use staff. And my whole ethos now is about community and giving back to community and sponsoring. And I can see, you get these big companies come up from down south, and they might win a shopping centre or something, and they come in promising the world, but they're run by accountants. So we probably give 50 grand a year back into the community. We sponsor AFL Cairns, we sponsor the Cairns Taipans. We mix it up, We sponsor Junior League, we sponsor Rugby Union. So, and then our charitable, we do free security for Relay for Life and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really big on the community, and I'm really big on feeding our staff and making sure they're enjoying working for Highton. So the business model from TJS has completely changed, and we're much stronger now because we're employing properly, and the whole thing's a different beast to what TJS was.
And so when you won that contract for the convention centre, how many staff did you have on your books at that point?
Well, I brought a guy called Rick Hiraway in, who was security. He had a bit of a security background from the airport. He was ops manager at the airport, and they liked Rick, and so we became business partners, which was like a great business partnership, and we sort of grew up from there. But we had probably two.
Yeah. And so what would you have on your being from security and from cleaning today? What would be?
We're running at about 320 staff at the moment. Wow. So between here and Townsville.
Yep. Okay.
And is it the cleaning and the security? What's the mix? Is it 50-50?
No,
the cleaning.
The security were about at 200.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cleaning it's a lot of casual cleaners because there's not a lot of big like we do DFO shopping centre, for example.
Yep.
That employs a lot of people. A lot of our stuff's ad hoc, and so a lot of casuals. But we're trying to get more permanent part times on more permanent.
Where's the growth for you? Do you think from now? Is it on the cleaning side or the security side? We spoke off air. The security just amazes me. I mean, you can't go outside in the main street and talk to a mate without having a security guard. Seems to be this days like but that's the way it is. That's the way the world is. Is that where
unfortunate the way it is?
Is that where the growth is though? Because of that sort of stuff.
I think both. So we've now added maintenance as well. So we're security, cleaning, and maintenance, and the maintenance hasn't really kicked off yet. But it's like an FM company, but we're sort of. Separate sort of entities as well, because like you find a lot of security companies, and like that's what I found with FM, they're cleaning companies, and then someone takes the cleaning off them, so they go, oh, okay, well we're a security company, they've taken the cleaning, we'll go and be cleaners. So I want to be the best at everything.
Yeah,
so I want to have the best cleaners, the best security guards, and the best maintenance guys. So at the end of the day, we've sort of kept them separate at the moment, but we will roll into the HSG group.
So they'll feed up into one banner.
They'll feed up into one banner, and that'll be our admin line.
Yeah, okay. And so at the moment, is it just Cairns and Townsville?
Cairns, Townsville. No, we've started in Newcastle. So we've got to start down there, and it's a JV. So because you need a local hero in some of these areas, and we've got a guy down there that's come on board and building it. We've only got 2 people there at the moment, but my mum lives in Newcastle, so it gives me an excuse to go down and see her a bit. We've started in Melbourne as well, and that's more maintenance, grounds maintenance. And what we've got some really good people coming on board. So Rick, my business partner, I've bought him out, so he's sort of retirement age, and he wanted to go and travel around Australia. So he didn't really want to grow the business as much as I have the penchant for. So I've actually got some new business partners come in that are quite high level, and they come from a security, cleaning, maintenance background. So these guys are bringing in people of great value down in Melbourne. So ISS guys and so the businesses, we've had a rebranding. We're bringing in all our systems, Tanda, because at the end of the day, when you've got 300 staff, you need systems to bring that together, and you need to be covered in regards to safety and OH&S is a huge thing. Everyone wants to be safe at work, and it's a huge thing to get covered. We're just in the process of finishing our ISO registration, so that'll be another feather in the cap. And I'd say, January next year we'll be ready to sell our finished product, and it's a pretty good product. So.
Oh, that's good. And that I was interested in your comment about, you've got to have a local hero. Is that something that was, it makes complete sense to me, but thinking back on the story you were telling about TJS, right? That was a bit of the value in that, is bringing those people in that had contacts in that and then growing it through that network,
definitely learnt through that process, and I've learned how to structure it a bit better too. Like I think owning it at 51% rather than 50% makes a big difference.
Yep.
You need to be in control of your destiny, basically. So, I recommend, if you can do it by yourself, I'd try and do it by yourself. Like partners are necessary sometimes, but you want to have that 51%, I think. So you got the call at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got the vision that you can control.
But the process of bringing other people in, like your local, as well as having the local hero, just based on what you said earlier, I guess they have the same mentality in regards to giving back, and that the family feel that you want to be able to have the business down there have the same feel up here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, 100%. It's like going to McDonald's. Like going to McDonald's there.
Yep.
You need, you want McDonald's in Sydney to taste the same as McDonald's in Cairns, and we're really big on building that brand.
Yep.
And community's a big part of that, and I love if you're going to make money in the community, you should give back.
Yeah.
There's great examples, like there's a great example, the Fowler Group, for example, the Picone Group, all these guys.
John O'Brien, any side day.
John O'Brien, and that's what I think I love about Cairns the most, and that's what I've learnt about living in in a smaller town. It's a city now, isn't it? And people keep coming, so. We love that.
The number of people we've got to sit down in front of, like yourself, over the last 12, 18 months, just mirror exactly what you're saying. The business owners in this area up here, that's it. Everyone wants to give back. It's just amazing. It's the same story over and over, isn't it?
Yeah. Everyone understands that you've got to be part of the community in which you make your money and which you employ, right? Yeah. And that means it's a two-way street.
Yep. And then and then when you go to another community, that's where the local hero comes in, because he wants that. Everyone wants that.
It was interesting. I'll share you a thought. I shared it with the person with the guest Maddie we had on last week. We were at a conference the other week in New Zealand, and this gentleman, Bill Withers, he's an Aussie guy, lives in the West, who's built businesses and sold them and whatever. And he talked about the differences between an SME and a corporate, right? And it's a bit along the lines of what you said. Or eventually you get brought in, you get run by accounts, they put in structures, tell you can and you can't do this.
Yep.
And he said that an SME can't be run like a corporate. He said the beauty of an SME, and an SME can be 800 people, right? Yeah. It's that the power of the SME is you get to sit down and have coffee with a person who makes the decisions, right? Which is your 51, 50, and it doesn't matter whether it's one person or two or three people, but there is a small group of people that hold the vision for that entity, right? And which is all the stuff you've just been talking about. And he said he believes that SMEs are return on vision entities, not return on investment entities.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Everyone's in them. You want to make a profit and you want to be, but you do it because you're delivering on a vision, not because you need to get the buyout, the pie check. You might sell it, but chances are you won't. And it will. His belief system is if we get those structures in place, these businesses will live on because the people inside them want to be part of them and want to continue to carry them.
Exactly.
And I think it aligns really closely with the conversation we've been having today, just as it did last week. It's been a massive light bulb moment for me. I think when you look at it, because if you're a return on vision company, you make decisions about patient deployment of capital as opposed to what I get from it if I put it in, what return I get back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in that thinking. Is that part of what you've experienced? And now looking back at that you talked about, new structures, new difference, is that the difference or part of the difference to TJS?
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, 100% different.
Yeah.
And there's companies around now that they might have 5 people in their office on staff, and they subcontract all the risk, everything out. And what's the bloke at the bottom of the food chain get?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, I can't sleep at night thinking about that.
Yep.
What's that guy? And, these contracting companies in security and cleaning, like we're trying to quote it pricing to pay wages, right? Yep. It's tough. Like, how do you compete with that when someone comes in and cuts you in half?
Yep.
And they've got a contractor there paying cash to their guys, and what's the little they get?
Yeah, and none of the on benefits are happening.
None of the on benefits.
Correct.
So, and this is what's happening. There's companies in Cairns doing it now, but at the end of the day, we stick to our guns and we're doing the right thing. So that's the company we want to be.
Yeah, mate, well, it's been a great chat. I mean, I love what I was actually thinking, and you alluded to it before I was going to even ask the question, you know, what you took out from playing professional rugby and bringing that into business, but you basically said, look, two completely different things. You learned business when you started working for yourself, which was great. And the football, the chat you said everything's done for you. We went to on a what do you call it, a tour, not a tour, but a work tour with the Brothers Leagues Club here down to the Penrith Panthers last year, just to see how they operate. And the football manager there took us around their training establishment, and he said exactly so. He said, these players here have no idea at all to do anything for themselves. And when he says anything, they don't even know. They got to be told when to actually eat, what time to eat. And when they got to go to a speaking function at a school, they've actually got we looked at their lockers. I think Cleary on his locker said, you've got to go to this school and you've got to wear this colour shirt, this colour shorts and this colour socks, like to the details.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, I get how they struggle coming out of that. But a couple of things you said there, you know, with when you're over in France, or when you're Brumby, the champion team. I mean, we hear this, the champion team is better than a team of champions. That's sort of rung home.
Yep, a lot.
For me, a bit. But the biggest thing that the takeout for me from it, and you hear this quite a few times through sport, and it does get forgotten, is that we see the kids see these superstars that have all the talent that are always going to be a superstar from 13 years of age, you know, and you don't necessarily see the hard work that most people just get to the top because of the hard work. Obviously they've got talent to get there, but it's the hard work that gets you to the top level, which is your story, mate. It's
100%
it's
hard work. 100% hard work, but also my heroes aren't footy players. My hero's that dad that gets up every day to work, because my dad did.
Because your dad did it, yeah.
And puts food on the table. And they're my heroes, like the plumbers, you know what I mean? Like, I don't look at footy players. It's too much pressure on them. Like, they don't know. And like say exactly what you said, they're like robots.
Yeah.
So, and the business has taught me a lot. And more so, I have learnt business acumen from being part of the Brumbies, because I realised they became a business. They ran it like a business, and everyone improved. And my biggest thing now is bringing good people into my business and getting the bad ones out. So and that's like a footy team. Yep. You know, that's exactly like a footy team. You know, you put one bad apple in, it can do a lot of damage. So it's actually knowing, and like footy teams do it now all the time. They investigate these kids right from when they're 15. What sort of kid is he? Is he gonna bring something to this team? Is he gonna be part of the team? Is he gonna grow with this team? Is he gonna bring attributes that are gonna make the team stronger? And that's what I've got to do in my business. So really, I do still have a simple footy brain, which helps me with my business, And, you know, the other thing I learned is if I'm not good at something, I'm going to put the best person in that position, because I'm not good at it, you know. Yeah. You know, ask me to do accounts, I'll be useless. So at the end of the day, it's not having that ego where you've got to micromanage everything and, I'm worried about that. You've got to give people a bit of rope and go, hey, guys, I'm not good at this. I'm the first one to say I was probably the least ego rugby player, and I'm probably the least ego businessman going around, because when I'm not good at something, I want the best to fill that position. It's that simple.
It was probably take back to the learnings from McQueen when he said, "I've got to move."
Yep.
And he let you do it. I mean, in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking, you know what, this may not actually work, but let's run through it. But, you know, give you the confidence to do that, and that's sort of what you're carrying on.
Empowerment.
Yeah.
Right? It was unbelievable. So, that one moment.
Yeah. And I think that to wrap all that up in a roundabout way, the benefit of everything is that we understand that people to go together as a unit, right? And whether it's a football team, whether it's a business, whether it's a social group, right? There is no one in that is all the same, right? And each brings their own talent to it. And when the music